the fortunate you share stories no and so emu kakra and the Kerm say yeah
boko say you
yensa sim free signings fufuro no na man for comments efa ho Kitike Isaac Isaac they say obe making a weekend right ojinem the day
na still a story on ho no one started the nti na o makoto we coach dey per confusion still our munya as discussion
be clear na ekoso baby Joao Pedro
okay
na omo chere Isaac ne boɔ no Joao Pedro dey half ne Joao Pedro
yeah
nti Joao Pedro times 2 and Isaac okay nti so here the performance on Sunday na Pedro performance no Isaac times 2 ana minimum so ultimately make na say
I say ne boɔ no oka Pedro bomu 2 a and Isaac yana
yes
Isaac was so
performance no so Sunday na o kind performance no bomu 2 a and Isaac back one
and the antisa
okay and other stories baby meaning yan chance free
okay my started from Liverpool story on Abrantia your friend Isaac and Ekitike said you one topic among for discussing in the Premier League for a long time now me surprise kakra because Premier League now a lot of forwards teams mu bebrebe forwards teams mu bebrebe other clubs said the nimuno and you know obia nim say oh share Liverpool almost 30 season no Abranti FN Hugo Ekitike na start ya ne modebo asreni
Ekitike obetra bench
na nipa bibrinti ase so makoto Isaac said you say oh ye big coach we big coaches na say adwuma we sha omo nsa enya adwuma discussion ye be no media space but enko ba bia the big ball will always start Jose Mourinho enya under pressure from Roman Abramovich okofa Andriy Shevchenko by within the 2 he realized oh dia na Shevchenko ade ewo wiase nyina. Those times Shevchenko was about the best in the Italian Serie A and one of the best players in the world. And Roman Abramovich kofa the buy. Obaye no onya some games a boy as a big boy. But in the final minute Jose settled for Drogba. So you all the big coaches obia kosade ni bimuda. In the final minute the decision I will be taking the results at the bepano udiji udin. Carlo Ancelotti in 2002-2003 Old Trafford, the Champions League final between Juventus and AC Milan. Now I tries to choose between Manuel Costa and Rivaldo. Said you, what you saw Costa. So baby to say Real Madrid that Vicente Del Bosque. Now Raul or Michael Owen or Luis Nazario de Lima. Said you. Ronaldo was the number 1. Okay. Undisputed. He was the number 1. And Ferguson had 4 strikers in 1 season. Now on Tempa and Dico and Dwight York. Tadishenga Manugo na Socia Bedia to Matana bench. Kasabi Abekabi and Kobebia. And Che, you with Real Madrid the Omobo Champions League. Na kotu e platifi. Na Andriy Lunin na di Omoba. Obeda go against Manchester City in the Etihad. Said you in the final game na Courtois bae. And your story bia. Carlo Ancelotti say Courtois for the final. And they were Real Madrid won the Champions League. In 2018 World Cup, who will follow closely. Brazil ba tournament no. Marcelo Cuprai. And Felipe Luis ball games no. Felipe Luis played very well against Belgium. And Marcelo by Tite and Casan straight away. Marcelo in the starting lineup. Big boys. So here Premier League in Mafia. Obia making sure with the exception of Manchester City. I'm talking about the big teams. Obia kofa striker at least within the next 5 years. Obi time de nako. Inti Manchester United. Omako kofa Benjamin Sesko. 22 to 23 years. Into who show anima the next 8 years. So Timi Ba or the old Kosa. In the first year, and ye are the chance in the second year. At least to rely on him. Rashmi Holland said that was the same plan at Manchester United, they confirmed, but on they went to me. But if you look at the prospect, the figures, now we hear the statistics of Benjamin Sesko, who say, Umani Mra, a bit me aye. Arsenal for 27-year-old Victor Gyökeres. Ah, Omunim say, Kai have Gabriel Jesus and Timian for man to Kwana Omopeso Mutono. So the next 5 years, Obu 27-year-old Gyökeres to lead the line. And I know Arsenal for the Aquafan so the Aba. Chelsea so Aquafa Jao Pedro. I almost say in the next 8 years, because Jao Pedro is around 22, 23 years. Within the next 8 years, is the player to lead the line for team my friend of Chelsea alongside Liam Delap. I don't know so Isra and Omakoform on the Omaba. Say Joe, so here Kitikani 2 games our boy and the Modi Bosso any pa. But again, if you look at the quality of Alexander Isak, if you look at his experience, if you look at his figures, if you look at the price tag out there, who play a beer when you move be as a do, or buy ya, or barber pack or near man, or baby atana, no barbage now. And it is not as if he is competing for a player who is a key member for his national team. No, I can say, oh, buy a bear thing, there be. Who go a kitty, none of France for match a chromo beponum than a buy. He is not among the very best when it comes to the French attack. Inti baby Isaac Bay. Coach will be now also be considered no different positioner. It is going to be a kitike, but Isaac there when he is fit and ready, said you expect him to lead the line. Obeba be now and the Isaac beside Yama or park and so no. A kitike to me for the same thing now. Okay, Newcastle United game now apart from scoring game no one can review. In the Arsenal game again he was anonymous without those goals, but Isaac will move to the left, will move to the right, will link up play, will support in terms of defending, and so also the ball not anymore, or the ability to take on players, create space, position himself very well, and general or say prolific or beside the goals inside the amount. And the figure now or say ban said you, I don't think it's a big issue. Into Michel Antonio more munkasa or humbe. It is Isaac and general. The moment or be stay fit and ready, he will start for Liverpool. Now, on the info of Jao Pedro, and if be about Chelsea, about to say, we a very good business. Because, so he's for the top players. Look at Florian Wirtz's figure. Look at Ekitike figure. Now, he will beat Alexander Isak, Isika, the Tony buyer. Now, here Jao Pedro from the FIFA Club World Cup, Eddie Babi seen there. Goals are Odema, and you probably be who says do. Chelsea are a very good business. I agree. So can the potential now can the numbers. Now she born and you more Odema or Park and so now. Or because Chelsea are you good business. So your last season, Jao Pedro actually 10 goals, 5 penalties, 5 goals in terms of open play. Now all the neighbor Chelsea team about options. The first game against Crystal Palace about as number 9. Now, okay, Magwe he name Mazim Lacrosse and the Tariq Michel, but the man who actually or papa into Ontimiamo. But in the last 2 games, against Fulham, against West Ham United, he played as an auxiliary striker or more as a number 9. But the last 2 games now, boy, was it 2 goals and our dear to my friend Chelsea. Gyökeres about 2 goals for Arsenal. Ekitika about 2 goals for Arsenal in the league. Benjamin Sesko is yet to score. And Tisajo. So also first new strikers now almost torn a fear. General. Now so head the Jao Pedro Dema. Obeka say all these strikers this koto. Any agents are almost side. I almost our prospect to lead the line in the next 5, 6, 7 years. Chelsea are a very good business. On the issue of Nisika, how can a boy him you woman and do Isaac? There be another I disagree. Isaac was not chairman. But Jao Pedro, apart from the numbers Isaac the bit no Park and so the Isaac the Bema be Obama the same thing. Okay. But in terms of goal scoring, Isaac was no chairman. And Isaac at Newcastle always lead the line as number 9. But Pedro at Brighton, sometimes on the left, sometimes behind. Said Dan Woolberg crowd said he played behind him. Into Onyo Obi Abeka say the career path no what lead line and as what boys number 9 sir. So you don't expect his numbers never kosoro it is said there Isaac numbers no what no. But at Chelsea say Kopama ye fit now move to number 9 say you expect him say the numbers never kosoro at you last season. And from FIFA Club World Cup DBC ne say only one game pen our back one shall go and farm at Chelsea. So it is never surprising say in Nipa Bebre Eka say if you are looking for the new Didier Drogba, it is going to be João Pedro. Not because of his quality as a player, and I say the skill set, as Didier Drogba, the strength, the power, the physicality, Drogba's ability to contain 2 center backs. Yeah. Even with Vidic and Rio Ferdinand, you struggle to contain Didier Drogba. Sahodin Onibi, but the 18 boss presence, João Pedro Enibi. But so her strikers are about Chelsea after Jimmy Flo Hasselbank, Didier Drogba, Mateja Kessben, Hernan Crespo, Andriy Shevchenko, Nicolas Anelka, or the bad Elias of Salomon Kalumo, Sejo or the bad Diego Costamo, Nicolas Jassimo, Christopher Nkukumo, or the Barbie C. Nimuha, Samuel Etomoa, or the Barbie C. Nimuha. Player will show prospect early times at Chelsea. Now who say oh man mra, obetimi I replicated the Didier Drogba at Chelsea is this particular boy. Okay. All these Anaka Beshe goes baby in one season. But in the history of Chelsea, Torres Maba, all these strikers I mentioned, but again, you talk about striker and you talk about Didier Drogba because almost glory times, a Drogba moment, and I said you will be a guy. The ball now chest here the left Bosch NBC will be a guy, and the goal that he scored for Chelsea at the Allianz Arena equalizer, and the penalty that a boy Chelsea won the Champions League, will be a guy in the history of Chelsea. And Didier Drogba, he's the standard at Chelsea, and I feel that Omar João Pedro all these years, with the prospect that injury be a ma now quadru be a ma, I think he has the quality to replicate the Drogba at the Chelsea.
Above Lenan visit Edin na who coach we are Michael Ballack and I can't say coach or say a move to Bayern will have made no sense for Vit. Is the Bundesliga still a challenge for him at the highest level? No, because the Bundesliga was overtaken by the Premier League years ago. That's the reality. That's why it's generally no longer attractive for absolute top players. Unquote. Michael Ballack.
I perfectly agree with him. You know, at the Bundesliga, with Harry Kane and saying move call Bayern Munich be news and you'll be one. All the top players are moving out. Robert Lewandowski man Hoswa no Kokopi more Barcelona. Jude Bellingham J the best player of the season on move call Real Madrid. Christopher Nkuku J the best player of the season on Bar Chelsea. Florian Wirtz the best player of the season on Tanaho. Because Bundesliga no wajibi. He played the whole season unbeaten for Bayer 04 Leverkusen. And our Cowboy Europa Cup final no kulusu to Atlanta 3-0. Into Bundesliga na otana was a jodi bi na oje. The competitiveness our person onya Bundesliga no wonya unya biu because all the big boys are moving out. Into die bi na even the German national team apart from Manuel Neuer and Joshua Kimmich all more big guys now they here. Rudiger about Chelsea wakupi or Real Madrid. Toni Kroos about Real Madrid. Said you Kai Havertz is playing for 80 my friend Arsenal. Ofa Iko Gondogana. Said you on also baby PM Manchester City no do Barcelona back to Manchester City. Ofa Obi etise Jadon Sancho o man ho so na straight away o baby PM Manchester United. Ofa Erling Haaland o man ho so na o baby PM Manchester City. And it's all your big boy. The German Bundesliga ni bia utina mu bi waye dey. Ofa Obi tise say Gugurasia. I think baby are free. And a man who say all the big teams are chasing him. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Straight away he moved to the Premier League. Into all the big guys, including Michel Ballack. So Joe Ballack at that time was an institution. She Obi to say Mesut Ozil. Straight away no move to Real Madrid. Ballack at that time in Germany was big. But you no be adrian that. Say Ballack will move from Bayern Munich to Chelsea. The olden days where the likes of top 10 friends, Oliver Novell, and all those players stay in the Bundesliga and say, "Do an idea, Sadi didn't hope you." Especially, so Osaji title maybe the out now a day. It also quite Bontina competed with the very best because Saosha Bundesliga it has been buying. And Omo Obenya Bako to say the Leverkusen Beruem, no, and to say the olden days Leverkusen again Beruem, and to say the Jürgen Klopp Dortmund, Eba Beruem Beji League, you know, Echo Ball, the Champions League final Obenabi. But if you really want to stay competitive, now prove what apart from the Bundesliga, especially we there, say you straight away. And also about Premier League more other league now be competing because the Bundesliga is just for Bayern alone and the other teams didn't show tab again.
Yeah.
So mobile no more competing.
Every Obia Hona, every German.
Yeah.
As a master no more yes. And free as our English boys see ho at time be feel say league but free German ho now or yes so respected Germany. The Bundesliga was overtaken by the Premier League years ago. That's a reality. That's why it's generally no longer attractive for the absolute top players.
That's true.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you know how many top players in the game today will run to the Bundesliga?
Yeah.
General, yes, you're right saying that the person it's coming from. The time he moved to England, he was the biggest thing in the German football, captain of the Diamond Shaft. And Balak was huge. But now someone can general it's sanity. Now and you see the accordiatia Germans need to the ownership structure of clubs in Germany. It doesn't allow Sisika Bishim. Also Germany when they say Ankra or Wusika Ebekwakoto football club. With Germany. So run it. The English are very fast, very smart. Love them or lose them. They are very smart. Ownership structure in such a way that so we will seek our baby now bit much wakunte boo baby sikeni fini adia yebema dia bishim. In team Crawford Pompeo Misika ko Premier League nim. Na sanya daddy lumba kain sikana ya adi nyina. Tiskana ma Premier League na ya kono. Besides that, some way somehow Omama akwye say we as obi asu omukasa no. Because general, so be person owura wadwen mu a eso di kan te ne kasa na ansa na watimi owura wadwen. Enti a free bra German for Spain for Netherlands for crowd almost start here so mo be sua bro for kasa. No. E man be easy for the English to sell their things to them and make their things very popular. And there's several Germans speak English. But hardly would you go to England, number of people who share English and no more share French cry ASN. And traditionally, you can English speakers and also, but some way somehow, one Omama language, you know, and Crawford's language, you know, and I feel a room, and I would take a cousin into a banwabi business, and yet they and I feel Masama are flexible. Until now, Premier League clubs are a good number of them are owned by a number of people who are not English. I discourage him. There is a reason in Nintino big player be there, Uncle Baby are where the real men are. Unfortunately for the Germans again, the dominance of Bayern Munich, you know, as a more good, you know, as a bit less competitive, especially the days are. Robert Lewandowski, Miroslav Klose, Martin Melmo, Dortmund Obama Bayern Munich challenge, you know. Some way somehow, now our big boys, you know, called Bayern Munich. In Tesama Bayern dominance, you know, to the extent that it got 10 seasons. Then in Bayern Munich in Kwaneji, it brings to question the competitiveness of the Bundesliga. Yes, you know, Nanka Liga ni German. What is German soccer? Yeah. General, but they have been overtaken, and they are main couples of stars. Our man rising over Germany. Our more my being so better our name either they will go to England or Spain. Now Dortmund for no, they say money at the house. You better my boys not try more music as contract as no wako buy and there. Near Chawmo, Edu Mama outside Germany. Now if you more assume ajuomo. So Balak is right. I know some will not like it, but it's the gospel truth.
Wow. Okay. Kemi back we can when I say Yanko name Andy.
Yeah. The killing Mbappe story.
Okay.
My name is Mbappe. Say yeah, one saw the better TV in this one.
Then I koso.
Asema metane se fan ko kapa se footballers no. Enema koso behind the scenes. Eya se jo omonka na owo hwa afi no oba beka. Mbappe si se nye passion na wona. Se jo ke be ni din se osoria. Obeko training mpo na nka wakasa wo kotwato. You know a coach na wo ATV na so no. Or say the fans are lucky to just come and enjoy a show. The fans are lucky to just come and enjoy a show without knowing what happens behind the scenes.
Okay.
If I didn't have this passion, the football world would have disgusted me as long time ago. I would never advise my child to step foot in the football world.
Wow.
That is from a player or any 30 million euros a year. Just last 2 seasons, he was earning 75 million euros a year. Today, scanner a year can 1 million euros, 140 billion.
Oh, they buy how to be this guy.
Oh, there be some percent. Oh, you come on, you know. You know, a juma be a list of Miami and some person Kabako be replace you. A juma be oh, sir. Okay, and you money be brave, mammy. Put it aside.
Maybe I die.
Yeah, with your hand of a identity. But all you, yeah, man on the phone.
You mind your competition.
Then I'm young, go papa and buy. And you money be brave. And you money be or
yes, I'm sticking.
Yeah, be there with it. You my dear too. That's example at the front.
More examples to be person about Ben Honda.
Yeah.
Person about calling a day.
Then you are growing to that.
Because I hear no power. What do you go? Na kata makusuya jumare.
Obana sa osu bia woto ensa we a. So one thing you know here. Can you wait na me pro? No problem no no here.
Na o mo mutimi no.
We mistake bi onu abendo.
Na o mo mutimi no. U bi zana say me to me ati obi dem no san o say sir insuanom enya de pa o. You know they make am na kusia ne say. Yeah. For be on any 30 million euros a year.
Of course, you would love your son.
You love your son to partake in that particular activity. But Kylian says no. Now the rank me and I'm say Mbappe, oh Nancy, I have bought chicken gravy now. Any Vini money name and comedy football. So do they be a lot of nyama happen behind the scenes.
They go through a lot.
They go through a lot. So do say inipa 80,000 who stadium go and before they say try enya de ketwa minim say o mu de El Hadji do of here on Congo na no who say pressure with Senegal players because to fill that stadium 80,000 capacity in your air or your more no di bi odi kan pie ye e no no beji huru ni nyina beje fans so mu bone ntutu a until the moment the players ne buy na concentration na ko El Hadji do of Senegal players in deliver. It is a job me come na be say players obi o class do utie South America players utie Africa players na obi first time in Europe say do e be apartment ya de be man ono nko a e we be a 3 bedroom or 2 bedroom ono nko a TV oni obi o kasa no o ti ho nyina wa ye confused o hu de onye o ska bebrebe pass do why no na ekwa akodi nkobo why no na ekwa akotena de bia no wa ye lonely a park ukoye training then you come back now ukoye mistake nonsense refu so more she back and Kessben a player who has spent the life or achieve a lot for Barcelona for person omu jana kwenti no omu de na to omu channel Kessben out Mundo Deportivo sport be pia na ye demo. It is not easy say obebie new page bia in Spain. It is talking about you negatively. Mbappe and the fair share because they do. If you are talking of a player with a better PR, you are talking about Kylian Mbappe. Hardly so better in negative. Or yeah, the bonnet cry the coco show be. onyane fair share of the backlash abra o yes o move to eye team o move from PSG to Real Madrid. Emmanuel Macron ne kasa ya later still also be Real Madrid. Any man so a PSG ne tweye any kwan a omode ne maame fa so oye dufuru pe omo pesika dodo nti na omo ko Real Madrid. O ko Madrid foforo no Madrid fans ne se Mbappe na omo hu no nya ono na abe onya kakra bi ba killing nti ono kwa de onya ne fresh ade Bernabeu. He should add David Beckham, Zinedine Zidane, Luis Nazario de Lima in Bernabeu, even Alfredo Di Stefano or Paco Gento, Cristiano Ronaldo or Mubehuru Sanko iya. Inti kakra is see our experience in the as do. Just a tip of the iceberg, but in all footballers go through a lot. President Kimpembe o prior man in nature pie and ye pamuye. In less than a few years after spending all his life for PSG for Jan Kwamaneko. And I know that's a Franco Naro say if this class want to some person almost show the Exeter, said you few cra. Where the Manchester United here the bomb squad. Raheem Sterling at Chelsea. Ben Chilwell was part of the Chelsea Champions League squad. Where Adel Disesi Omkofa and Baye, General Omubeja quite simple. Ube na bench and if you've listened to Mikel Obi say Antonio Conte ba Chelsea and I free on Vito Moses or Mumbo Olympic Games. Or say na Conte free on the office. And I'll catch your mummy say, what be Olympic Games ni bia oba ni team no onka hu bio. E ho no Mikel Obi catch Vito Moses say ono na new player omo de naba. Into ono ntra now ono Mikel ne nkoboma Nigeria. Say jo okoboma Nigeria oba ya na Conte de ne ko nkrem. 6 months o training with nkra. Say you ask me Mikel Obi ama me kan onte da. But you expect Mikel to perform to that level. 6 months on Krenim, afe ne nkoye ma Conte, and a Conte friend back. Say, obetimi asaba back to the first team, no, say no, because o consult to Solomon Kalou and Didier Drogba, and catch and some more mpene, and power wenti. Na say you omukrom also call now and take us an crowd ya obebrepa. Look at what Real Madrid did to Gareth Bale. Cristiano Ronaldo of all people, Real Madrid for fast, ejana kwai. Sana general situation it. The footballers they go through a lot. Say brebe no more retire and abu say no more come in. I listened to Sameko for the last time. Also koye surgery 10 days. Buy a 4 boka fan and also the general because who lose your position. And yet yes abo no benya bia bo piu because you have about 4 German players now competing and kwa Africa player them. And even if say unye fully fit near the opportunity you have to play. And general you know footballers go through a lot. And so no have my sources or park and so I enjoy.
Let our detractors be reminded that Liverpool bought Salah for 34 million pounds, whilst Chelsea bought Enzo Fernandez for 106.8 million. Football isn't mathematics. Slot knows why he bought both Isaac and Ekitike. For us, it's not Ekitike or Isaac, but Ekitike and Isaac. Which club will not relish having both players at the same time if only they could afford? Mungesi do the buy.
Pep Guardiola will not relish to have the two.
Yeah.
First of all, me sure that na Liverpool not too sure about getting Alexander Isak. Is the reason they went all out and paid 79 million pounds sterling for Hugo Ekitike. Omoto no wie no. Abrantie na man benching ayedin adiamomo because he really done well. 3 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. So the total goals contribution has been 3. Oshe Liverpool team no before Alexander Isak ebeya. Mo Salah far right wing nabos. 115 million pounds sterling coming in as the best player from the Bundesliga. Florian Wirtz is playing as the number 10 behind the main striker. Left wing no Cody Gakpo. The season is starting and the form kita no enye easy to bench him. Enti Alexander Isak coming in clearly. The direct opponent is Hugo Ekitike. Now Andika say before coming to Liverpool, he wasn't even a national team player. But after playing for Liverpool just some 3 games, he got a call up into the French national team, an A-class national team, and has some minutes. And what is 79 million pounds sterling, almost 80 million pounds sterling, at the top player. You need to give that player some playing time, especially when he has delivered. Games are all the man, no. And a thing, but obvious say. Isaac there, baby, obebo. Enti Hugo may have to go to the bench. And now say minim, what tweak it or formation, no matter how you tweak it. The front 4 Isaac Eba Karaman F5 no, except by Coco bench. But I know by this time, Mr. Anaslot nim the dynamics and now unim kwaya or befa so ashishe team no. It's a luxury for me and they call them Liverpool. And Alex Ferguson United has similar situations, but they manage it very well. Nandika the 99 squad now Owo and the good Duatiok only gonna associate the Sheriam. At a point in time, we have Bebatov, when Rooney, Carlos Tevez, even Nani Cristiano Ronaldo, who were all part of the team. So I think it's good for them. How we managing no new markets and no be any playing time, and they're very important. You know, Osman Dembele was adjudged the Omofren owns the all, and I say European Footballer of the Year. Am I reading Fise Busumi we are you and a Ballon d'Or ebeba bontin na hwe senior Europeans ne to mabana owura friend Osman Dembele winning with 32.5% of the votes and Lamine Yamal enya 30% and then Kylian Mbappe a distant third 12%. So the competition is between Osman Dembele and Lamine Yamal. Now one thing esa catcher on is a woman say different category and we see by the same organizers, and they organize the European A. Interestingly, these 2 guys are all Europeans. They play in Europe. Maker Osman Dembele and then Lamine Yamal. Inti a quite weird. Say yes, you will be paying. Say bia after this one, nebia Lamine Yamal akwa winning ahead of Osman Dembele. I think we are the more 2 Osman Dembele winning the Ballon d'Or because games say Europe the boy Osman Dembele cried the over Ballon d'Or na world now was World Club Championship Lamine Yamal Ankobi and World Club Championship or the team edu final in Tiesa add more to the argument of Osman Dembele. I see Dembele at the end of this month being awarded the Ballon d'Or as well. You know, the last 2 minutes got to do with Chelsea.
Okay, my name is we now person can was there. Obi Kamal Junior the free Navrongo and by. Can you and your panel give us a proper discussion on the 74 charges against Chelsea? Exactly. Kamal Junior Navrongo and another
exactly. That was where I was heading towards. Efino a day subo and answer charges, my press charges. Ediatia Chelsea Bubukuno. The charges near 174 charges. And Omudia Bodietia, Omudia from Chelsea. But about Fontaine Common see. First of all, between 2009 to 2022, a near me course or Chelsea Bubukunim, and in the Omude Huntan Sabo Chelsea. Not just the era of Mr. Roman Abramovich. Now within that period, Saint charges 74 no about Chelsea it's got to do with acquiring Chelsea fast foot players. Sika omutuadema agents, Sika omutuadema intermediaries, omoya dantemo for airshama Chelsea 2 players. Obianim say under the Roman Abramovich era, the Roman Empire saw Chelsea buying several top class players, using several agents and intermediaries to acquire these players. Now, among Fontia CBM say, and yet FA numpo na Chelsea for say bia bibisa. But after the takeover by Mr. Todd Bowley and his group, omo betra say omo hwehwe enche omo enkrata mu ehwe japade no omo beto no eno hu say nneɛma bi wɔ mu a ɔmakonta boom no ɛne no ɛmfa enti Chelsea nankasa ɛna voluntarily ɔmo reporti ɔmo de ɔmo ma ɛfɛ ni sɛ nneɛma ahodoɔ a yɛhu wɔ agyapade a yɛbɛtɔ yɛ Chelsea no enie enti mu hwehwɛm na yɛhwɛ di etuam enti mpanyinfoɔ no hwehwɛ mu ɔmo ne Chelsea for collaborate na ɛfɛ de ne statement aba Chelsea nso de ɔmo statement aba na Chelsea mpo de ɔmo kyerɛ sɛ na ɔmo di nkɔmɔ na duru akyire bi a ɛnkyɛ bɛba na wie but the FA now has officially pressed charges against Chelsea 74 of them na bɛn no mbɛdi asɛm no na sɛ kɔba sɛ bɔ Chelsea a what are the implications say brain a better don't forget say City case up till now is still not been determined. Man City any omudi press 115 charges and editor Manchester City almost interest almost they are not started from 2009 to 2018 and at Chelsea they are from 2009 to 2022 as we speak from September 2024 almost starting proceedings still verdict in Yama Bontin. Richard Master say Omugu so mu edin sem na chi a enya de say efi no ebeje chi no say efi ni boka e case no pa because legal fees a mu tua am ye de defend efi no side na say omu de asem no be chi City no enya agro.
All right, this is okay. Dr. Franco, has Dr. Franco Naro heard about EPL recently? Giving up on the issue of Man City and Etihad's huge impending sponsorship deal. He's always interested in negative news about Man City. The other EPL clubs try to stop the Etihad sponsorship deal because of third-party links. They have failed. Kofi Broadcasting also mama hun tomu da.
I'm always against it.
Yeah.
Na City no apart from City, why na yede intansa abubona.
Yeah.
E wo hon ma yenye ni. There some aba na yeka. And the Chelsea dey ba yenye ni yeka. Kofi ti which other things should I talk about when it comes to this? Yes, they ma yeni. And asem ni guso. Mo kra mo dey asem na free England dey buy. There's Spiegel. And the word Germany, and no much penetrating emails. Say sponsorship deal. It be a 5,000 penny. No more. The Ashema couldn't say sponsorship deal with scale 20,000. Not just club in Marcoso. No more. You acquire to Eddie. Sikane more. Say we spend the unya. What I say.
All right.
A brain will give you.
Okay.